is you can either do acquisitions for yourself by taking over tired
Hmm.
landlords' properties. My goodness. Hey, let me just make
Yeah.
are you tired of this property? I'll take the deed, right?
Yeah.
I'll pay you X cash and I'll just take over the payments. Huge opportunity. Also playing middleman. If you know sub two investors, if you've got tired landlords, you have an opportunity.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow, the world's leading and most comprehensive coaching and consulting firm for long-term residential property management entrepreneurs. For over a decade and a half, we have brought innovative strategies and optimization to the property management industry. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management business owners and their businesses. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. Now, let's get into the show. All right. So in today's episode, I'm hanging out here with Caleb Christopher. Welcome, Caleb.
Hi, thank you.
And we're going to be chatting about creative finance and what it really looks like in today's real estate market. And Caleb's going to share practical insights from his time in the industry, breaking down strategies like subject to deals, the due on sale clause, wraparound mortgages, and other creative transaction structures to give a helpful real world perspective for anyone looking to get started in creative finance. And for property managers, they know creative finance is how you help your investors get into more units, and they all want to manage more units. So cool. Welcome, Caleb.
Thank you.
How did you get into doing what you're doing now? What's sort of your entrepreneurial journey for the entrepreneurs listening?
Yeah. So entrepreneurship has gone way back for me. I'm 38 now. I'm almost 39. 39 feels a lot closer to 40 than 38, by the way. As an entrepreneur, I'm like, wait, that's like one of those. Anyway,
it's a milestone. I'm a decade older than you. I was born in 77. So
okay.
So I'm feeling even older now.
You look fantastic. Entrepreneurship. In fifth grade, I found these mechanical pencils that would come apart in the middle and they were different colors. And I bought them in bulk at Costco and resold them to my classmates in whatever color combinations they want. Started making money. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I like customizing stuff. So that was cool. And then a bunch of little stuff like that. And it ended up where I ran a paintball field out of my parents' house in the woods. I liked working. I like work is my hobby, but also paintball. I've got a 12-year-old. We're building a paintball course at my house now because he's just starting to get into it. So I did that and I bought rental gear and I funded my paintball journeys by having other people rent from me. And so that was that. And then I got into IT and cybersecurity consulting. So entrepreneurship has been a thing where I'm just always adding value, always had a second job, some other gig where I like to help do creative problem solving.
Yeah.
And then I discovered real estate when I couldn't sell my house. The one I'm in right now was right next door to family, which was great, but I couldn't sell the one I was in. And so I had to rent it out and I became an accidental landlord.
Yeah.
And refinanced the property. And then I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I was like, oh, thank God. I have a rental property. And that was the beginning of the real estate journey.
And everybody, you have to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think it's a requirement.
Yeah.
And then you want to get out of the rat race and
start building wealth. Just treat houses like a retirement account. Slow building, even if you don't do anything else. If you get a few rentals, you're in a pretty good shape.
Yeah. Have you seen Robert Kiyosaki's game, the board game?
Yeah, it's easier to play online than it is the board game.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it does all the math for you.
It does. Then you don't have all the little cards handing back and forth. So yeah, I highly recommend just running a private game on a computer.
Oh yeah, we did it the hard way, and I would just make my wife do the math. I'm like, go ahead, Sarah, you do this. She's like, she likes it. She thinks that part's fun.
Okay, what a blessing.
Yeah, right? That's why she's the COO and not me. Well, let's get in this topic. So tell us about the first thing mentioned in the intro was like the subject to deals, like this strategy.
Yeah, so sub two is when you take a property subject to something else. It could be a federal IRS lien. It could be the person's mortgage. It's always, by the way, everybody does sub two deals and they just haven't thought of it this way. When a utility company comes to dig up a chunk of your yard and you can't say something about it, that's because you bought it subject to easements, rights of way, etc. So there are external things that can act upon you or your property because you bought the property subject to them. What we do in subject to deals is we add the loan to the list of things taken subject to. So if the mortgage company notices that you sold a house to me without paying off the mortgage, right? The deed transfers to me and I'm making your payments now. That's a sub two. If they notice and if they care, they can accelerate that loan because of the due on sale clause. So kind of two birds with one stone with this description. It exists in every loan I've ever seen. Maybe not in a seller finance loan if you explicitly exclude it. It's not required, but a due on sale is a good protection for a lender to have because if you transfer and if they care, they can accelerate. It doesn't require them to.
But they can. And
they can.
Some terms in loans, I believe also, if it switches ownership, they says it maybe negates the terms of the agreement, or?
No, it doesn't cancel anything else. So it's, and a lot of people are like, is sub 2 illegal? No, it's not illegal. Here's when it is illegal.
Okay.
If I'm borrowing with the intent to hand it to somebody else, the deed, it was never my intention to occupy the property or to satisfy the requirements, and I'm misrepresenting or providing materially false information, that's fraud and that's illegal. However, if I buy the house and I move into it as my primary residence or whatever the occupancy requirements are, and then I decide later on to sell it subject to the mortgage, I can do that. And that's a civil violation of the mortgage contract, which says if you transfer without paying us off or without our permission, we can accelerate the loan. But it's a defined default and a defined remedy.
So I had a client, and what he was doing is he was helping facilitate deals. And his way of kind of getting around stuff was he would set up a trust.
Yeah.
He would place the business, the current owner of the property as one of the members of that trust. So they still had that person in place. They would just decrease their ownership stake through the trust, right? So
still technically a violation of the due on sale clause. Some people think Garn-St. Germain Act protects an investor, like all trust acquisitions from a due on sale, which is not true. By the way, a little more background. I'm very technical. I read laws and rules and court cases. And so if anybody's got I'm giving you a real technical answer here, not an attorney though.
Got it.
Garn-St. Germain Act protects family transfers, but not an investor purchase, even if you leave the seller as a partial owner. Technically, it's still a violation.
I see, the sub 2 guy is Pace Morby or whatever his name is. And I just see a lot of people saying, this is illegal or you can't do this. And people come after him all the time. And I don't know. I'm not as technical maybe as you, so I don't know. What's your take on that?
It's illegal to misrepresent something at any time, but there's no duty or compunction in the contract for me to notify you as my lender that I've transferred the property. Even if there was, that would just be another violation of the mortgage contract and not something criminal.
Got it. Okay. Right. You're not going to jail over it. But so if you're doing the subject to, or if like some of the property management business owners listening are wanting to maybe take over the ownership of some of the rental properties that
can I say that is, I think, the number one opportunity for a property management company owner.
Yes.
Is you can either do acquisitions for yourself by taking over tired landlords' properties. My goodness. Hey, let me just make are you tired of this property? I'll take the deed, right? I'll pay you X cash and I'll just take over the payments. Huge opportunity. Also playing middleman. If you know sub 2 investors, if you've got tired landlords, you have an opportunity. You can be the buyer or you can be the middleman who finds the buyers who are willing to take those over. And if it's older debt with a lower interest rate, I'm telling you, I will pay more for that property than I will to get the same property with a new loan.
I mean, really, the smartest thing a property management business owner can do is build up their own portfolio, right? And rather than just helping everybody else build up theirs. Yep. And we've got a client, and I think he has he has 200-300 doors in his business. He owns all of them. He basically just uses his property management business as a honeypot. People come to him and say, hey, I need management. And then he said, well, let's take a look at your property situation. And then he's like, yeah, well, if you sell this, you're going to have all these taxes and all these issues. And man, if only there was a way you could still get paid on this, but avoid that. And then he convinces them to do seller financing without telling him it's seller financing, sort of, right?
Yeah.
And so then he just takes over the ownership and he keeps paying them to pay them off. And so he's got this really sizable portfolio. And during, if the market shifts a certain way, he's taking on millions of dollars in assets pretty easily, having these conversations. And so, I think there's definitely an opportunity for property management business owners to be paying attention to this.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would want to say about subject twos that maybe they should be aware of, or?
There's plenty of discussions to be had when you get down into the details. Knowing what it is the first stage. I would just remind, back on this last point, if you have a business and you don't know what to do with those opportunities, other people do, and you can get paid a referral fee. So don't sit on the fact that you've got tired landlords. Send out a survey and if somebody came to you with an offer today, would you sell?
Right. Yeah. And the thing is as a property manager, they have several advantages, but one, they know the market. They know which properties would cash flow the best. They know what they could rent for. They're connected to real world reality, unlike a lot of the real estate agents in the market when it comes to rentals. And they have a large portfolio of owners. So if one owner's like, I want to sell, they've got a whole bunch of others. They could say, hey, do you want this? So they could do that middleman thing that you were talking about. Okay. Love it. I think it's just smart. And
that's it.
It sounds like
We're
the biggest challenge
episode.
would be
that's the main point.
It sounds like the most difficult piece of this would be, how do I get really solid legal counsel for making sure that this is done or structured the right way, or we keep the loan intact?
Yeah. So one thing, the due on sale clause is always going to be a stone hanging over your head. You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And if you can't take that heat, you got to stay out of the kitchen, basically. That said, I have resolved due on sale on consumer loans, not DSCR. I've resolved due on sale with consumer/investment property loans for the individual buyer-borrower. But where was I going?
How did you solve this? Is this like a trade secret, or can you share with the audience?
So the broad strokes are pretty obvious. It's the details that kill you. And it's basically, if I bought your house subject to and they accelerate the loan, then I'm going to try to call them and negotiate them away off the cliff, right? Like, hey, I'm making the payments. What's really the problem? Can I assume this? What options do we have? If they're inflexible, the bigger banks, then I'm going to have to go with technical compliance, which is I'm going to deed the property back to you. And then we just get into this whole thing like, yeah, but what if I deed it to you and you don't sign the next document back to me to let me continue like a master lease where I keep all the profits, or whatever we want to call it. It's ideally we just restructure the transaction with paperwork that's either less visible or completely acceptable to the lender.
Got it. So this is just a conversation with the lender, basically, hey, this is what's happening. How do we make this work?
And the bigger banks will not know how to make it work. They'll just require you to show evidence that I deeded the property back to you.
I see. Okay.
But that's only one part of the puzzle, because we still need to restructure the transaction internally.
Right. So then it's between you and the homeowner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And there's just making a deal where they're making there's money being exchanged, even though the legal technical ownership hasn't really shifted.
Right. There's a paperwork dance around any obstacle. Now, you asked about legal counsel. Lawyers are good at saying no. I'm not going to discourage. Here's my law degree right here. I don't have one.
Right. It looks just like mine. So
yes, I'm never going to discourage somebody from getting an attorney involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
My concern is a lot of times they don't have the direct experience on these types of deals.
Yeah.
And when they see risk, they say no.
Sure. That's the safest thing for them to do.
That's right. And when I go to an attorney, I'm like, I'm paying you to tell me how, not tell me no.
Right. The pre-frame with attorneys is everything. I say the similar thing. You don't go to the attorney and say, hey, how can I get out of this horrible contract with this franchise I'm in, for example? It's, this is what I want to do. What's the best way to do this?
Figure out how.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
So you can't, because there's this risk. And I'm like, yeah, there is risk. I need to accept a few risks here, because let's be outcomes oriented. And if you can coach an attorney to be outcomes oriented before you start spending a bunch of money on them, then great. That said, I've had a hard enough time finding that in every state. So that's what Entrepreneurial, I started Creative TC, which is transaction consulting, because I've been there and I've done that with dozens of deals per month for the last 4 years in a couple of weeks here. So we've touched literally thousands of these deals. We've seen them up, down, left, right, sideways, and back and forth.
Yeah. So the short answer is call Caleb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the next thing is like, we talked about the due on sale clause a bit. I don't know if there's anything else to mention on that. And then we can go into wraparound mortgages.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm not familiar with wraparound mortgages.
Okay. It's like, you ever go to Chipotle and they make that big fat burrito?
Oh, yeah.
What if they put a second tortilla around it?
Then it's way less likely to break open.
Very good. Very good. I think there's a lot of good analogies here with wraparound mortgages. So a mortgage is a contract that says, by the way, a lot of people get this backwards. A mortgage, you give the bank a mortgage. They gave you a loan. It's not the other way around. So when you give the bank a mortgage, you're saying, hey, in exchange for this $500,000, you can foreclose if I don't pay it. That's the mortgage. It gives them the right to foreclose. We want to do that to be ethical. If I bought your house subject to the existing mortgage, ideally, we would do something called a mirror wrap. Now, if you had equity and you wanted to finance me a larger dollar amount than what you owe, we can change that. But a mirror wrap says, hey, here's the existing loan. We're putting another one around it. That way you can foreclose on me for non-payment, just like the bank can foreclose on you. So if I don't make your payments, you can still pay your payments so that your loan is in good standing and they can't foreclose on you. But when I'm not making payments, you can foreclose on me. So a mortgage basically just says, you have the right to foreclose on somebody for violating the terms of the mortgage.
Yeah. Okay.
As
Clever.
opposed to a naked sub-2. Like if I just took the deed and said, I'll make your payments.
Yeah.
Cool.
If I really trust you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
trust but verify, right?
It's like, but wouldn't you like the ability to foreclose if I don't?
Right. Yeah. Like
That's a wraparound
worst case
mortgage.
scenario. It's like, just like getting in a relationship, prenup, postnup, like making sure there's like if things go bad, which nobody plans on, it's not going to be as bad.
Right. It's a stop loss, right? It will cost you money to foreclose on me, but your credit's on the line, so you can still protect it to some degree.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I like it. And I would imagine the owners like this too. Everybody likes this. This makes everybody feel safer.
Yes. So that's one aspect, is it's the safe, legal, ethical way to do it. The other piece is that you can use, if I've got a 4% interest mortgage, actually I've got one that's a 3.625, a sub-2 in Colorado. If I sold this to a new buyer right now on seller finance, I would give them a wraparound mortgage. But what would I be doing? Would I pass that 3.625 to them?
Well, no, you get a cut, right?
I would rather mark it up to 8%.
Yeah.
Or 7 or so, or whatever's practical today. So I can make I can keep the difference. I can arbitrage the interest rate. So wraparound mortgages work not only for the ability to foreclose on a non-payer, but you can also increase either the total amount financed or the rate or both. And so wraparound mortgages can be used to transfer or as a profit mechanism as well. And when you own the house that I sold you, I don't have to fix your toilet. You just have to pay me every month.
Right. So in the case of like the audience here, like property management business owner, they don't want to, like they could take over the property themselves, but they could also facilitate the deal. And for the new owner, it's a higher percentage and they're just keeping the difference.
Sometimes you've got a tenant who has lived in a property for 5 years and they're a great tenant and you want to help them out, but they can't seem to get a loan. It's like, all right, well, I'll let you make payments on this one. I don't like rent to own, because that's you're conveying interest to them monthly. It's a convoluted mess. I would rather do a straight seller finance like this, where we do a wraparound mortgage and I'll bump the rate and you're going to pay me a premium, but you're going to get ownership.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah, that's
and now I don't have to replace light bulbs or fix toilets or repair the roof or whatever else goes on the plate.
Unless you're the manager and you get paid to do that.
Well, it moves out of property management at that point if it becomes a seller
somebody's
finance.
buying it. They're not renting.
Yeah, they're the owner now.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like this idea. The wraparound mortgage. Okay. Are there other types of wraparound mortgages, or is that the main thing? Or
no, they're specific to your situation, like what's best for you and what state you're in, et cetera. I just had a conversation with somebody who used up all their available cash to get properties, right? So they got 3 or 4 rentals, but they've got no cash left, and they've got good interest rates. And I said, you could sell those on wraps and increase your cash flow every month and get a down payment from somebody. And she was like, what? I said, you want capital to do the next deal, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, because that low interest rate is an advantage.
It is. And
so
you
it's
can make a
kind
monthly
sellable.
bump. Yes, it is. Your low interest loan, by the way, I just say this to people, your low interest mortgage is an asset I'm willing to buy. The same house is worth more money to me with a low interest rate that I'll buy sub-2 than it is just on the market on average.
Yeah, that's clever. Yeah, okay. Got it. Very cool. All right. So other creative structures, any others?
Yeah. So contract for deed or land contract, it's a type of seller finance.
Okay.
If I'm the seller, I like it because I hold legal title. And if I hold legal title, you can't place additional liens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want you placing solar liens without my permission, or water softener liens, or a HELOC on top of whatever current balance is.
Yeah.
So if I sell to you on a wraparound mortgage, you have the full deed, legal title and everything, and you can place additional liens. You can use this property as security for other loans. I really don't want that complication in case I do have to foreclose and maybe take the property back if I, bid what's owed. I don't want it coming back to me with an extra 3 liens or $40,000 worth of debt. So contract for deed is pretty ideal because I hold legal title, you get equitable title. And it's same seller finance terms, same wraparound concept, like markup interest rate and monthly payments and stuff.
Got it. Okay. Very cool. These are fun little vehicles. There's like these magic little tool sets that you've got in your toolbox. Any others?
I think I like the master lease concept where it's like a sub-2, right? I'll make sure all your bills get paid, but I keep everything on that comes back on top.
Okay.
I take it off your plate. I agree formally to cover any expenses related to the property, et cetera, but we're going to do it like a master lease with an option to purchase. If you're scared of due on sale, or if you've got a DSCR loan that will not tolerate a contract for deed or a trust acquisition or a full-on sub 2, we can do this custom master lease, which replicates all the parts and pieces effectively without violating that due on sale clause.
Okay. And I know property managers sometimes are talking about things like, they want to get their investors into more property, right? Mm-hmm. So they're talking about things like maybe doing a 1031 exchange to get into a bigger property, maybe, or doing a cash out refinance to pull equity out to get into a next unit or next property, these type of vehicles. But these additional tools you chatted about today, I think are very fascinating. I don't think a lot of them, I haven't heard them talk about. So
yeah, I mean, it's awareness is the big thing, right? You need to be aware that you can do some of these things, and then you find the person who can help structure it specifically for your scenario. But I see a lot of people who are like, I'm going to do a creative deal. And it's like, on what though?
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So I don't know if there's anything else we're missing or that you wanted to cover, but I think then the next question would be where do you fit into this? Because you have a business that facilitates this or helps with this.
Yeah. So I started Creative TC 4 years ago, and this creative transaction consulting, so that we could help make these deals safe, legal, and ethical.
Okay.
You can imagine that it's pretty easy to do somebody dirty, whether you mean to or not. With these arrangements, when somebody's credit's on the line, they're convoluted. And so you need a guiding light. You need somebody to hold your hand, maybe be a lighthouse so you don't crash on the rocks. That's what Creative TC is. And so we consult on these deals nationwide to help people do them safe, legal, and ethical. And then I started Creative Title this last year to fill a void in the state of Colorado where a bunch of companies were pulling out of creative deals.
Ooh, yeah, got it. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of times it's not even everybody has good intentions, maybe from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But as soon as something gets weird or sticky or confusing or
money's on the line,
then somebody's feels like somebody else is being unethical or did them dirty or whatever, or we don't have an exit path, or we don't have a clear delineation of, that makes everybody feel comfortable where we can split ways or part ways. And so, yeah, having something structured right from the beginning, they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right?
Yep. 100%.
And a lot of times in talking with my clients, because, in property management, you have lease contracts, lease agreements, you have the agreements or contracts they have with the owners for taking over the management of the property. And what I usually say to them is, those are nice, but those usually only matter if you use them incorrectly. They only matter when you're at war.
Yes.
It only matter when but if you proactively review the agreements with them and go through it with them and help them understand it, it's then an onboarding tool, and it helps set the frame of the relationship, and it helps everybody understand. And because it doesn't matter what's written in agreement until you're at war.
Yep.
But before then, what matters is what they think is written in that agreement. And so making sure that you go over things with them to make sure they understand this is paramount. And
I need this as a sound clip for my team, because this is how I train my team as well. I just need it from somebody else because it sounds better coming from not me.
Right. So
it's expectations management is absolutely essential, especially in creative finance deals where I'm making your payments, your credit's on the line. If I don't make your payments, it hurts your credit score and can cause a foreclosure. The buyer and seller need to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And sometimes it requires a third party to help facilitate, hey, here's what happens. Here's how to manage those expectations. Let's look at this. We're not just signing disclosures just because they're legally required or suggested, but we want to have a meaningful conversation and talk through the stuff so that everybody's on the same page. Because if the due on sale clause comes knocking, we need to be on the same team.
So my wife and I got married in Mexico because we wanted to get married there. They're not spending $20,000 in legal fees where only the attorneys are winning. And, and then you're losing a bunch of stuff, and this was yours and they didn't contribute to this, but now you have to give them half, and all this kind of stuff. And so, and so you help them kind of make both parties and everybody involved feel comfortable. And then you get paid a consulting fee for handling this.
Yep.
Cool. Very cool. Cool. So I would imagine there might be some property managers listening to this. Any final words you'd like to say to them, and how can they get in touch with you if they would like to help you facilitate some of the stuff they're working on?
I think the value of a property manager or a realtor is very much in who they know. That's vetted. Okay. A realtor, it's like, I know a foundation guy. I know a roof guy. I know a flooring guy, right? That's what I'm paying you for, not just your commission to take photos and have some conversations. I want to know who knows who you know and you can validate. The same thing is true for property managers. I got a repair guy, very consistent. I've got 3 different plumbers. If it's this type, I know this guy's got the best rates. That's what I want you to know when you're my property manager. That's what I'm paying you for. The same thing is true now with creative finance. It's like, hey, I know a guy that's an expert that has 255-star reviews at what they do. They only do this thing and they do it really well. So if you want to buy or sell creative finance, let me call Caleb. I'm that guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the best property management business owners are viewed by their clients as an investment expert or advisor.
Yep.
And the best investment people or advisors have a whole tool set of people in their back pocket, whether it's trust attorneys or somebody like Caleb, right? They have all these different resources, maybe lenders, they have all these different resources available to facilitate deals. And that's how some property managers are able to help their clients get into more property and have more deals to manage. Or like we talked about at the outset, even better, how to get more ownership stake over all the properties that you're managing and build up your own portfolio and your own wealth.
Yeah, because I should be able to call my property manager and say, who's good at DSCR refinances in your area?
How can people get in touch with you?
Easiest way, because I own multiple companies, calebchristopher.io. That's got links to Creative TC for the consulting, DOSGuard to fix due on sale, and Creative Title Company in Colorado and Tennessee.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey, thanks for being on the Door Show.
It's been a pleasure.
All right. For those watching this, if you're listening, if you've ever felt stuck or stagnant and you want to take your property management business to the next level, reach out to us at DoorGrow.com. For free training on how to get unlimited free leads, text the word leads to 512-648-4608. Also, join our free Facebook community just for property management business owners by going to DoorGrowClub.com. And if you want tips, tricks, ideas to learn about our offers at DoorGrow, subscribe to our newsletter by going to DoorGrow.com/subscribe. And if you found this even a little bit helpful, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on whatever channel you found this on. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, remember, the slowest path to growth is to do it alone. So let's grow together. Bye, everyone.